Welcome to Module 6 Data Link Layer. In this module, I will explain how media access control in the data link layer supports the communication across the networks. So basically, every network has physical components and media connecting the components, and different types of media needs the different information about the data in order to accept it and move it across the physical network. Basically, think of it this way, like a well hit golf ball moves through the air fast and far. It can also move through the water, but not as far unless it is helped by more forceful hit, right? So this is because the golf ball is traveling through a network medium, so water instead of air. Basically, data must have help to move it across different media, and the data link layer provides the help, this type of help. As you might have guessed, this help differ based on a number of factors. So this module gives you an overview of these factors, that how they affect data, and the like protocols designed to ensure the successful delivery. So let's get started. So first of all, basically the data link layer of the OSI model means layer 2 is prepare network data for the physical network, and the data link layer is responsible for network interface card like NIC. To network interface card communication, and the data link layer does the following. Number one is it enables the upper layers to access the media, and the upper layer protocol is completely unaware of the type of media that is used to forward the data, and it accept data, usually layer 3 packets, means IPv6 and IPv4, and encapsulate them into the layer 2 frames. And number 3 is it controls how data is placed and received on the media, right? And number 4 is it exchanges frames between endpoints over the network media, and it receives the encapsulated data, it usually the layer 3 packets, and directs them to the like proper upper layer protocols. And final one is it performs the error detection and rejects any corrupt frames. So basically, without the data link layer, network layer protocols such as IP would have to make provisions for connecting to every type of media that could exist along a delivery path. So additionally, every time a new network technology or medium was developed, the IP would have to adopt. Now, providing access to media. Basically, each network environment that packets encounter as they travel from a local host to a remote host can have different characteristics. For example, an Ethernet LAN usually consists of many hosts contending for access on the network medium, and the MAC sublayer resolves this. With serial links, the access method may only consist of a direct connection between only two devices, usually two routers. So therefore, they do not require the techniques implied by the IEEE 802 MAC sublayer. So basically, router interfaces encapsulate the packet into the appropriate frame. A suitable media access control the method is used to access each link. In any given exchange of network layer packets, there may be numerous data link layers and media transitions. At each hop along the path, a router perform the layer 2 functions like accept a frame from a medium, like de-encapsulate the frame and re-encapsulate the packet into a new frame, and forwards the new frame appropriate to the medium of that segment of the physical network. Now, data link layer standards. Basically, data link layer protocols are generally not defined by request for comments, and unlike the protocols of the upper layer of the TCP/IP suite, the Internet Engineering Task Force, means IETF. It maintains the functional protocols and services for the TCP/IP protocol suite in the upper layers, but they do not define the functions and operations of the TCP/IP network access layer. So, engineering organizations that define open standard and protocols that apply to the network access layer, means OSI physical and data link layer, including the IEEE, ITU, ISO, and INSI, and other some organizations. Now, topologies. Uh, as you learned in the previous topic, the data link layer prepares the network data for the physical network, and it must know the logical topologies for a network in order to be able to determine what is needed to transfer frames from one device to another. So this topic explains the ways in which the data link layer works with different logical network topologies, right? So the topologies of a network is the argument or a relationship of the network devices and the interconnections between them. So there are two types of topology used when describing the LAN and WAN network. Number one is physical and number two is logical. Physical, it identifies the physical connections and how end devices and intermediate devices like routers, switches, and wireless access points are interconnected. So the topology may also include the specific device locations such as the room number, location, and the equipment rack. And the physical topologies are usually point to point or star topology. So number two is logical. It refers to the way a network transfers from frame from one node to the next, and this topology identifies the virtual connections using device interfaces and layer 3 IP addressing schemes. So basically, the data link layer sees the logical topology of a network when controlling data access to the media. It is logical topology that influences the type of network framing and media access control used. Now, point to point WAN topology. So basically, physical point to point topology directly connected two nodes. In this argument, two nodes do not have to share the media with over host. Additionally, when using a serial communication protocol such as point to point protocol, a node doesn't have to make any determination about the whether an incoming frame is desired for it or another node. So therefore, the logical data link protocols can be very simple, as all frames on the media can only travel to or from the two nodes. The node places the frames on the media at one end, and those frames are taken from the media by the node at the other end of the point-to-point circuit. So basically, point-to-point connection over Ethernet requires the device to determine if the incoming frame is destinated for this node, and a source and destination node may be indirectly connected to each other over some geographical distance using multiple intermediately devices. However, the use of physical devices in the network doesn't affect the logical topology, and intermediate physical connections may not change the logical topology. Now, LAN topologies. Basically, in multi-access LANs, end devices means nodes are interconnected using star or extended star topologies. In this type of topology, end devices are connected to a central immediate devices, and in this case, an Ethernet switch and extended start extended this topology by interconnecting the multiple Ethernet switches. So at times there may be only two devices connected on the Ethernet LAN. An example is two interconnected routers. This would be an example of Ethernet used on a point-to-point topology. And early Ethernet and legacy token ring LAN technologies included two other types of topology. Number one is bus, and number two is ring. So now half and full duplex communication. Basically, understanding duplex communication is important when discussing the LAN topologies, because it refers to the direction of data transmission between two devices. There are two common nodes of duplex, of duplex communication. Basically, both devices can transmit and receive on the media, but cannot do so simultaneously. Like WLANs and legacy bus topology with Ethernet hubs use the half duplex mode, right? So half duplex allows only one device or send or receive at a time on the shared medium, and the half duplex communication. And full duplex communication means both devices can simultaneously transmit and receive on the shared media, and the data link layer assumes that the media is available for the transmission for both nodes at any time. Ethernet switches operate in full duplex mode by default, but they can operate in half duplex if connected to a device such as Ethernet hub. Now, access control modes. Ethernet LANs and WLANs are the example of multi-access networks, and multi-access network is a network that can have two or more end devices attempting to access the network simultaneously, right? So some multi-access networks require the rules to govern how devices share the physical media. There are two basic access control methods for share media. Number one is connection based, and number two is controlled access. Connection based means in connection based multi access networks, all nodes are operating in half duplex, competing for the use of medium. However, only one device can send at a time. Therefore, there is a process if more than one device transmit at the same time. Example of connection based access modes including CSMA-CD and CSMA-CA and other some top technologies. And controlled access, basically each node has its own time to use the medium. These deterministics type of legacy network are ineffective because a device must wait its turn to access the medium. Example of this type is legacy token ring and legacy ArcNet.